Good morning, Wabash. Bear with me today. The printer wasn't working at Delt, so I'll be reading it off my phone, so sorry if I mess up more words. But speaking today at Pioneer Chapel is CIBE Fellow for Professional Development Anthony Mendez, with his talk titled, 10 Rules for a Young Professional. Anthony Mendez graduated from Wabash in 2020, majoring in English literature and minoring in religion. As a student, Anthony was a 4-year member of the swimming and diving team at the college and is a proud brother of Delta Tau Delta. He grew up on the east side of Indianapolis, Indiana, and is currently in his second year of his 2-year fellowship at the college as the Center for Innovation, Business, and Entrepreneurship Fellow for Professional Development. Anthony returned to Wabash as a staff member in June of 2020 with a mission to serve his beloved alma mater and help lead the next generations of Wabash men. Through valuable experience and conversations, 10 Rules for a Young Professional is a personal 10-step guide for young aspiring professionals looking to find their career paths after graduation during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Anthony Mendez immediately returned to Wabash as a young staff member at an unprecedented and unique time in the college's history. Having little to no professional experience under his belt, Anthony had to adjust quickly and lead a 100-person student worker program while supervising their overall professional development. Among young adult struggles, common mistakes in the office, and unexpected adversity, Anthony utilized his liberal arts education and the resources around him to deliver on his promises to his beloved alma mater. Please give a warm welcome for Anthony Mendez.
Good morning, Wabash. Before I begin, I want to thank my family, former coaches, former professors, and Wabash brothers for their support. Without them, I wouldn't have the privilege to call myself a Wabash man. And I want to give a special thank you to the Sphinx Club for giving me the opportunity to speak at chapel today, which has always been like one of my biggest dreams. And I am truly honored to be here in Pioneer Chapel. It's a great day to be a little giant. Most of you know me as Brother Mendez, Coach Mendez, your CIBE supervisor, and that like career services guy. But I view myself really as a young professional. Like my 2020 peers, I'm still learning. I'm still developing. I'm still navigating my professional journey. And I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I don't know where those destinations will be like the next 5, 10, or 20 years from now. And that's okay. Throughout my 6 years at Wabash, both as a former student and current staff member, I've experienced many different situations that have really motivated me to create this 10 rules for a young professional. And I challenge like all of you to not only like listen to these 10 rules, but also to use them in your like everyday life, whether that be like in your living unit, classroom, sports teams, back home, or in the workplace, because you are the pioneer in your professional journey. And so to kick it off, rule 1, it's okay to be afraid. The thoughts of figuring out what you are doing like after Wabash can be daunting. It can sometimes be terrifying. These thoughts definitely raced through my mind back in April of 2020 when I was looking for that first destination like after graduation. And due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the job market like was not looking friendly. And rather than looking for that perfect first job or waiting for something to just magically fall in my lap, which I don't like recommend you guys do, I went for it, and I like applied to this position that I'm currently in as a CIBE Fellow in career services. I built up the courage and called my soon-to-be predecessor, Alejandro Brena, to discuss like the job duties, because I wanted to like connect with him, pick his brain, and to see like what the job like was all about. And I got like out of my comfort zone, and I really took charge of my professional development. And Looking back now, I will admit, I was afraid. I was sometimes scared. And I felt vulnerable during this process. But because I had a plan and because I thought it through and I went for it, everything panned out. And so my message to you is break that grip of fear and apply yourself in challenging positions that will both elevate you in your personal and your professional development. And it will pay off tremendously, trust me. Rule 2, be a sponge. Before becoming the next CIBE Fellow, I had little experience managing big groups of people, let alone leading one of the biggest, largest programs on campus. And the late and beloved Roland Morin, who then hired me, which I'm forever thankful for, sat me down on the first day, and said, Anthony, take a deep breath. These 2 years will be like boot camp, full of learning, challenges, and growth. Follow my lead. You will be great. I soaked in Roland's wisdom, and then immediately hit the ground running that day, and I trusted him because he was a seasoned professional, and then my boss, and so following Roland's lead, I quickly soaked in my surroundings like a sponge, whether that be the roles of my coworkers, their personalities, the different processes of business operations, and the language that we use in the office. And I made lots of mistakes during the first couple of weeks, but I learned from them quickly and continue to soak up all my surroundings. And that leads me to rule number 3, which is ask for help. Soaking inner surroundings will often lead to questions. You are not going to know everything the first time around, and that's okay. Unfortunately, the younger generations, myself included, struggle to muster the courage to ask for help. Similar to the first rule that I mentioned, it can be terrifying to reach out for help, and reaching out for help seems pretty easy on paper, but for some reason it can be challenging for first year hires. And so the most successful alumni that I've spoken with told me the value of reaching out to ask those questions. Asking questions shows that you are curious. It also shows you that you are in the process of solving a difficult problem. And that is the first step. The next step is asking the right questions while listening to feedback and then using that feedback in your job. And so if you can think critically to solve problems, you'll be successful in your professional endeavors. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Rule 4, growth over perfection. Now, you are a growing young professional, but here comes the self expectations of always having to be perfect. Stop right there. Don't do this. We currently live in a social media world where we want to be picture perfect all the time. As students, we want to, we run our papers through Grammarly to check for misspelled words. And as working professionals, we always proofread our emails multiple times before hitting send to check for clarity. And this will often lead to the simple mistakes. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, we're all human. Mistakes can be prevented, but they're ultimately inevitable. And so, don't let them discourage you. However, you do have the power to learn and grow from these mistakes because, well, you're a sponge. Adapt so what I'm telling you is to rather adapt a growth mindset. Come to class and work with a positive attitude, a game plan, and a list of things you want to complete by the end of your day. If you follow these steps and learn something new in the process, then hey, you had a successful day. Number 5, Surround yourself with like-minded people. Whether you work for a small business, a Fortune 500 company, or for like yourself, you will work with people daily. These various people come from different backgrounds. They have colorful personalities. They have different motives, different purposes. And so, surround yourself with like-minded people who are on the same mission as you. There is true power in surrounding yourself with those who see greatness within you, especially when times get tough. You can travel faster like alone, but you can choose to travel further together. After the passing of Roland Morin back in August, I chose the path of traveling farther together. Because of seniors Daniel Bass and James of Spain, I was able to get help from both those gentlemen to help lead the program and to make it a well-oiled machine. And I'm confident to say now that we not only succeeded our expectations, but we're definitely reaching new heights. And so, bravo to them. Number 6, be a leader, not a micromanager. Now that you have your team full of like-minded people, lead them effectively, guide them, mentor them. There are professionals in the workplace with the word manager in their title, whose sole job is to manage others. However, in this context, I want you to be that leader that everyone wants to work for, and be able to show that leadership that goes well beyond the duties and roles of your position. It takes a special individual to lead effectively. Great leaders are active listeners, and they always learn from the people around them. Micromanagers are rather the opposite. They point out everyone's flaws, and they want to control everything. I personally am not a micromanager. I don't want to be a micromanager. And because I don't see the value of micromanaging, I do see the value of people building by showing them support, by showing them the support that they need while leading others at the same time. Number 7, relationships matter. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected face-to-face conversations all the time, but the professional world still remains people-driven. Relationships are made through genuine interactions. They are formed over time when 2 or more people work together for a common cause. The person sitting next to you will most likely become the next great business leader. They aren't already. And so never underestimate the value of a conversation. Wabash proudly has the #1 ranked alumni network in the country. Faculty and staff work nonstop to connect students with alumni across all professions, fields, and different companies. Dean Jones comes to coffee and careers all the time, and he says the phrase, relationships matter, which is true. Employers and recruiters feel a strong sense of connection when you meet with them, when you talk with them, and that makes you a more valuable candidate. So, try to connect with different people and mold a professional relationship with them. You never know where a person can take you down the road. Number 8, trust the process. Head swim coach Will Bernhardt preaches the term trust the process almost every season. As a former swimmer of Coach Will, he always alludes to the end goal of the, which is the conference meet, the very last meet of the year. And Coach Will firmly believes in putting in the work now to guarantee a successful future. And yes, that saying is pretty cliche, but it's the truth. And it is applied all the time in the workplace. When you intern, work full-time, or study at a graduate school, your supervisor or professor already has the end goal in mind for you. They are challenging you every day to help mold you like into the best version like of yourself. And you may not fully like understand the process like at first, like, which is okay, but I want you to buy in fully. Give 100% every single day, and believe in those who are like investing like in like education, professional growth, and personal development. There is no downside in trusting the process. You will be grateful and satisfied with the result. Number 9, leave a legacy. We all want a great reputation. We all want to leave a positive mark on people. And so I want you to ask yourselves these questions. What have I done to lead the next generations of Wabash men below me? Have I done everything in my power to not only leave a path for the next generations, but also carry that mantle? These enduring questions popped up like my head during the 2020 virtual commencement, leaving a rather bitter taste like in my mouth. And it was a sweet feeling knowing that I finally graduated from college, but deep down, I knew that I had so much more like to give, so much more like to serve. And so I went for it, and I needed like a first destination. So I applied to the CIBE Fellow position with the sole purpose of coming back to Wabash to learn, to serve, and to develop Wabash men professionally. Looking back, I made one of the best decisions of my life, and I truly hope I left a positive impact on you all. Number 10, the final rule: express gratitude. As a student, I've received tremendous support from my professors, coaches, and Wabash brothers during some very stressful times here at Wabash. And as a staff member, I've also received tremendous help and mentorship from my college, or from my colleagues, not only in my office, but from different departments across campus as well. That's what Little Giants do. We're a close-knit community. We look out for each other, and we wish the very best for each other. And to show appreciation for those who sacrifice in our futures, let's shower them with gratitude. You can show gratitude by giving your professors, coaches, and parents a personal handwritten letter. Yes, writing out a thank you note takes longer than sending a text or sending out an email, but they get dozens of those every single day. A thoughtful handwritten note will be more impactful and will separate you from the pack. Expressing gratitude is living humanely. In closing, many of you in this room will become entrepreneurs, medical professionals, business leaders, teachers, in this ever-changing world. You will be amazed to see your personal, academic, and professional growth in your 4 years at Wabash. We are Little Giants. We produce big results. Let's live up to that name. And seniors, it's time to leave a legacy. The classes below you are following your lead. I'm excited to see what you all can accomplish after graduation. And I know deep down you will represent Wabash well and be game changers in the professional world. You gentlemen have been trailblazers during this pandemic, and I'm so proud of every single one of you. You may have, you may forget my 10 rules for a young professional, and if that's the case, just know that you are the pioneer in your professional journey. Take charge, go for it. Thank you, Wabash.